All right, we are live. I did it before with the countdown, but I neglected to go live. I was cleaning my glasses and trying to look good for everybody. But it is Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I don't know what we're saving the daylight for, but it's not for winter. 5 p.m. on the West Coast. And I just said we are live. Welcome, adventures. I'm your guide, Sean McZoo. At least I think that's who I am today. And this is the Reptile Show reporter. I'm sure of that. Tonight, we're discussing advanced reptile care. As usual, Bill Strand, the headmaster of the Chameleon Academy, is my co-host. And also added to the team today for the second time, the McZoo team. I guess got to get Tom a shirt. Two Turtle Tom Arbor. Howdy. And maybe, if we're lucky and his meeting gets over, DIY chameleon guy, James Cross, will show up.
What?
We don't know. Yes, I don't know. He's really famous. Famous. Yeah, that's the right word.
You're pulling the big names, man.
Yeah, I know. It's like I just have to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. But anyways, let's go to the oh no, we're not going to go to the chat. We're going to go to the beginning. In dance. All right, that's done. Okay, so Nate's here. Marcia Ann's here. Zev Green Reptiles Chris is here. And that's at least those who've declared themselves. We'll go ahead and what happened here? Okay. All right, going the wrong direction. I was up late last night at a concert. I took Jennifer and my brother and my fourth kid to the concert. It was really nice and cool, but I did not get a nap yesterday, nor did I get a full one today. So last week I thought that I was loose lip sync ships. I think today I might be a little worse. So let's see. Who was the first? I forgot who the first person was. Who's the first person there in the chat there, Bill?
It was Nate.
Nate, yes, Nate. Nate, there we go. There's Nate. Nate, did you make the concert last night? It was Journey and good golly, I forget. Jen yelling from the background. Def Leppard and Cheap Trick. And as a nerd as I am, the last time I was at a concert was about 2 years ago, and since then I've gone into doing a lot of hearing conservation for work. So I had a NIOSH sound level meter. So I tested how loud the concert was. Cheap Trick was the loudest at 1.93 decibels, which is 85 is when NIOSH says you should put hearing protection in for an 8-hour shift. We weren't there 8 hours. It was 4 hours, though, 4.5. But 90 is when the feds say it. At 120, you could lose hearing with just a few seconds. So, they weren't that high. Journey was kind of in the low hundreds, and Def Leppard actually reached 107.5. So if anyone cares, I don't think anyone does. That's what happened last night. So I'm partially deaf and tired and what have you. But there you go. So let's see. What else? Who else is in there? Marcia. Who did we?
We have Marcia and Chris Green.
I don't think we have a picture of her, do we?
I don't think so. She's not usually at this show. She's a special.
She's been here before, but she just never sent any pictures in. So this I don't think. And Chris Green, let's get Chris in there. Hope his show went well. It was because it's the end of my. I hope his show went well on Saturday. And let's see. The private chat is to tell me that we do live in a Rust Belt. Okay. There we are. I don't know why I spoke of the private chat, but there you go.
I put that right when I came in because Bill was talking about maybe the world is dirty and instead of your glasses being dirty.
Oh, yes, because I'm still annoyed by my left glass, which actually this has a fingerprint on it.
In context, it was very funny.
Yes, it was very funny.
That's about the time that I started harassing tutorial Tom, knowing that he could hear us, but we couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in the background, not on the stage yet. So
Yeah,
he couldn't
got to
hear
take
us.
advantage
So
of those situations.
yes, there is a
Absolutely.
huge scratch in the middle of my left glass, which is this one over here, and it's really annoying. But slower this month, slower this month as could be expected. Yes, I heard that one of the well, two shows around us are not going to be there. The BRM show that used to be in Fremont got kicked out of their gymnasium at the it was at a college, and they didn't get renewed, and now they're going to go somewhere else. And the sailing show, I believe, is not going to be at sailing anymore. It's going to be somewhere else because of volumes and what have you. So lots of changes in the Cleveland / Detroit area. I guess Ohio / Detroit area of Southern Michigan. So big stuff that's happening, but that's neither here nor there for this particular discussion. Did I actually say what we're discussing? It says,
I don't
okay.
think you said what we were discussing while we were actually live.
Okay, I said it while we weren't live, so there we go.
Yeah, good practice.
Everyone should have been listening. All right, I'm a little crazy tonight. And it says it right here at the top. Reptile care, beginner to advanced. And what does that mean? We had a big discussion about that last time, and I wanted to continue that discussion. I got the same team on, so there you have it. So, all right. So, crazy hectic. Okay, so there we are. All right. So, all right, Bill, any announcements?
I have no announcements.
Okay.
Other than I may be starting a Saturday video release on YouTube that is pretty substantial because it's going to be a podcast that's going to explain the philosophy, the why behind it, the YouTube video, which is going to be the tutorial for it, and then a web page that's going to have all the build guide and the shopping list and all that. So having all those three together makes it a very powerful outreach. And so if I am as awesome as I hope I can aspire to be, it'll be this Saturday.
Awesome. That's great. We'll look forward to that.
And of course, it'll be alive.
When is your live show coming back? Summer's coming to an end.
Yeah, it'll come. September. Once the kids are back in school and we're rolling there, that's when it'll be back. But I am still recording episodes of the Let's Talk Turtles podcast with my buddy Ryan, and we actually just released a new episode today. And this one, we talk to a turtle biologist named Will Selman. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, just in the past 2 weeks, has listed a new species of turtle federally threatened. But it took the unusual step of not only listing that species federally threatened, but 4 additional species also because they look similar to the rare one. And so what that means is that all 5 of those species, which used to be lumped, 4 of the 5 used to be lumped under one species, are now done in the pet trade, essentially.
Now, they do that because to make it easy to protect?
The bottom line, they issue what they call a 4D rule. And they can make the decision whether or not the animals can be shipped across state lines or not. But yeah, they say these animals are so close that it's virtually impossible to just see one of them and know what species it is by your average wildlife enforcer, essentially.
Okay. And so everybody else gets to be protected because they're mimics.
Yep. And so, yeah.
Nature does this a lot.
They're called megacephalic because the females get these giant heads. They're from the coastal plain rivers, the Pearl River map turtle, the Escambia map turtle, the Barber's map turtle. pulchra, which I forget which one that is, and gibbon's eye, I believe. 5 species. And in the turtle world, people don't like this, right? Because they can no longer sell captive bred animals across state lines. In the pet turtle world. In the conservation world, this thing is really rare. It needs protection. And that's what our episode is about. Why did the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service do this?
All right, stop. We have to declare somebody's here.
Okay. Oh.
Somebody we all know. If I can get to the picture. There we go. Wait, what's going on here? I can't find her. There we go. Yvette is here. All right. Okay, Steve Hefner is not here, but I just declared.
Oh, what a cutie!
All right. Oh, I'm gonna be really, crazy tonight. All right, so let's see.
It'll be a wild show.
To the comments. All right. Okay, so. All right, so any other announcements, Tom?
Nope, that's it. You know,
right.
I will say I would love to have you guys on my first live show back if we can swing it and kind of do a walkthrough of my time with my chameleon. And I can kind of describe some of the symptoms that I saw and this gradual decline. Unfortunately, I lost her. But that's one of my ideas, to have you guys, and we could take a deep dive into the care and sort of what I observed, and maybe, identify some things I could have done differently.
As long as I get paid as much as Sean does, we'll do it.
Yeah. Okay.
You should have got her from a reputable breeder.
Yes, absolutely.
Actually, I didn't breed her, so I guess I shouldn't say that. You should have got him from a reputable resales person. And you should have paid. You got what you paid for, I guess. But
but a good segue into advanced reptiles.
There you go.
Because the helmeted chameleon, it seems to be an advanced reptile. Everyone I talk to has problems keeping them alive for, I don't know, more than a couple years.
Yeah. If you're not in the California sun, I think people have problems. I don't know what it is. It's just the one person who can breed them and keep them alive is out in the California sun there. The one, though, that I know of definitely. So, okay. So podcast number 25. I'm going to be doing a solo podcast. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be doing it about, but I'm going to just be, because I'm going to try this actual StreamYard to record myself on a podcast. I'm still thinking about topics. So if you guys have any good topics or anything else you want me to talk about. Secondly, I don't know what to call this. 2 years ago, August 2nd, was when I had my stroke. So, it's July 31st.
It's a stroke-iversity.
Yeah. So, it's just almost 2 years, and they say some people say you improve for 2 years. I really think, Abigail had a stroke at birth. That was why she's disabled, and she's been improving. She's 19. She's still improving, almost 20 now. So I don't believe that stops then, and I'm going to keep improving. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. I was back in 3 weeks on the show, mostly because my speech therapist thought this would be a good time or good way for me to do something that would keep me speaking and have me using my brain that way. And Bill was willing to go on the show with me and fill in all the gaps where I left off, or when I stopped talking, he was able to cover that time, and that that was very good. So I really appreciate that, Bill. And so that ends that. That's the positive thing is the vast majority of my skills, my use of my right leg, my use of my right arm, my speech, I think, has come back vast majority back 98, 99%. And so it's a positive story that, and I've got myself healthier than I thought I was. I thought I was healthy, but I didn't do enough for me in my diet. And, I went to the Westside Market to get food today, getting good stuff and what have you, my exercise, my sleep. My sleep was one of the things I left not enough of. And the stress level in the life has changed quite a bit since 2 years ago. So I'm thankful for all of you listening to me. I really appreciate you all being here and follow me for this show. And maybe that's what I'll talk about in the podcast. I don't know. That's the Reptile Show reporter talking about a stroke. And sounds like I mean, I know we did the first show back. We had my experience, but I don't think that's a good podcast. I'll think of something better. Maybe my life with reptiles and how I need to stop getting more. Yes. Okay. So advanced reptile care. We talked about it last week. We were talking about advanced care being something that can kill you, something that nobody knows how to really take care of it, something that was fairly large or extremely small. Like, what was that microbe that you were so interested in a couple weeks back, Bill?
Tardigrades.
Yes, tardigrades. You can't even see them with the naked eye. So there you go. That's really hard to take care of. Where my pectinata over here is not, you can see it and it stays there and it will jump on and it'll sit on your hand and be a good thing. Or even my frill dragon, who from time to time gets a little feisty, but doesn't actually frill up all the way when I'm squirting him down and he doesn't like it. But that's a lot easier than something that's going to envenomate you, or is that the right word? Bite you with venom, but or something that's gonna have a cage the size of a bedroom, or like a sulcata tortoise who could walk right through. Hey, Mikey Ben is here. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we haven't said anything important yet, so you didn't miss anything. We got to quit doing that, because then the show people will show up at 8:30 because they think the important stuff then starts then. But what else did we think of for advanced reptiles? I think that's a good summary, right?
Yeah, anything that will kill you, we don't know how to take care of, or takes extra care.
Okay. And then we've done this before, at least Bill and I have, talking about beginner reptiles, but we really struggle to actually talk about what is a beginner reptile. It's not like you get a beginner reptile and it's easy. You still need to do all the same things. You need to have the right food, the right location, the right temperature, the right amount of UVB or not, the right amount of heat, the right size enclosure, all the things that you need for reptiles, which are different than you need for a cat or a dog. I mean, they need the right stuff, but a cat or dog can live in your house and go about, and if you left enough food on the floor, it could live off that. If you had a little bunch of messy kids, but or if it jumped up on your countertop and ate off food off it, it was big enough. But anyways, what would we call a beginner reptile? I know we named a few.
Mikey Ben is a beginner reptile.
There we go. I know that's not what I'm talking about. Put him on. Wow. I was cruel before we started, and everyone else is going to be cruel now.
Right. Sean, I'm going to throw out turtles in general, because that you can abuse them and they will not die. They may not thrive. They may get horrible metabolic bone disease, but man, I mean, you can just abuse a turtle. So, and I think a turtle is many people's first reptile in many cases.
So yes, so not that I was abusing it or doing anything bad, but this morning for a couple hours, our turtle, our water turtle, I think it was a slider of some sort, not the red-haired kind, but was sitting on top of the tank. It's not supposed to be up there. It's got a huge tank. It's got a deck. It's got a bunch of friends, but it was somewhere on top of the return thing from the fluval, and it was just sitting up there having a good time. And we're like, okay, let's hope it doesn't fall out. But it was on the back of the tank towards the wall, so that was good. So it sat there for 2 or 3 hours, and finally, we were about to go to the West Side Market. I was watching it while I was working and what have you. But we're going to go to the West Side Market. I'm like, we got to put it back in the tank somewhere so it doesn't fall out and the dogs get it and decide it was a good lunch. But I don't think the dogs could. I think it would just be stuck in there as a hard shell because our dogs are really tiny. But anyways, that is yes, they haven't been very difficult. But and even the red-footed tortoises, you could really take care of them differently. But I mean, I have multiple, I won't say the number, that were rescues. Only one that I've had since it was a little tortoise, and all the rescues have pyramiding. I didn't end up with pyramiding. My guy, it's actually my middle kid's, April's tortoise, but I've been carrying it sits in my chameleon room. So it got plenty of moisture and good food, and we seem to be lucky, I guess, as to how to learn to take care of it. So yes, tortoises being part of the turtle family. There we go. If I could say that right. Okay. All right.
That's right.
Mikey Ben's wife would strongly carpet chameleons and red-out crocodile skinks. Okay. All right. So Bill, thoughts? Beginning reptiles?
Yeah, I don't do much with anything that can be considered a beginning reptile.
Okay.
My interest in reptiles has gotten so deep that I can't crawl back out. I don't have any ties to that world. I stick with pretty exotic stuff. And then I spend my life trying to make it easy for people who insist that this is what they want.
Okay, great. I think probably bearded dragons, because you do have to give them UVB. You do have to give them enough heat. You do have to give them enough food that the water in the food doesn't cause them to get obstructed. Obstruction is not because of the sand, because I've had bearded dragons for their entire life on sand, and it doesn't seem to happen. Nothing happens with that. But bearded dragons are really a good one to talk about beginning reptiles. I think probably geckos, not all geckos, but like, the crested gecko, some of the other New Caledonian geckos. I think the chihuahuas are not advanced, but they can be feisty. As long as you don't get bit while you're putting their Pangea food thing or whatever it might be in there.
So what are we saying is makes a good beginner reptile? Is it the ability to put up with abuse and improper?
I don't want to say that, Bill. I don't want to put that out there because ability to tolerate.
What you said was true. Yeah. Every single reptile requires the proper cage, the proper lights, hydration, diet. Every reptile requires that kind of dedication financially and as far as research to do it properly. And so many of these people who start off with reptiles, and all we got to do is go to Facebook and see the people who just join in and say, hey, take a look at my reptile, and you're just, oh my goodness, how's this thing alive? And when it's a chameleon, it's usually on its desk door, but when it's a bearded dragon, okay, so it's got a little bit of a limp, but it's alive. So I mean, what else can we use to say this is a beginner species?
All right, let's stop for a second and tell Mossy that she's here. Everyone was late today, so we're gonna go show her as well.
I was early, by the way.
And so yes, I think that I guess that
audience, save me. What else? What else can we use?
I think Nate has a good less extreme parameters, I guess, is that less distance from your normal, you don't have to hydrate it, you don't have to fog it and mist it and do all this other, you do have to mist some of those reptiles, but you don't have to fog it, you give a water bowl. I think that's how you define it. And it does, but it tolerates substandard care. I guess that is, I just don't want to say that it tolerates I don't want to say that you treat it badly and it lives.
Yeah.
Like like Tom said before, you can put a tortoise on the bottom of a boat and take it across the ocean, and it would live. And so that isn't good, but it's known. So
well, Yvette just walked in here because she's got her hands full of crickets, so she couldn't type, and she pretty much described what Nate was saying: less extreme parameters, things that can exist within room temperature, and so our normal things. So the critters that do not require much more than what already exists here. Essentially, things that, I mean, like a dog. I mean, just like you said, it just exists here. And a cat, if you feed it, you can't get rid of it, and it will be here. And so, like, a cat is really
that's why
easy.
we have outdoor cats around us. My wife wanted to get a bunch of cats, but our neighbors got cats, and they think it's our yard as part of their yard. So it's awesome because I don't have to have cats now. but we haven't fed them. But yes, we fed them because there's all kinds of mice and chipmunks around our house, and they get fed regularly. So, but that's a good reason to have outdoor cats. But yes, I hear you. All right.
Well, what about just being common and just the fact that a lot of people have it, and you can find a community of people pretty easily that have it? Get a lot of information. It might not be good information, but
is that moderate then? Is that like somewhere in the intermediate level?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What do you think?
Is people, things can be common and considered throwaway, like hermit crabs.
Yeah.
I mean, people have them until they die, and and it's a horrible thing, but and you just replace them with more. Things like the anoles that were used as decoration. Put a noose around them and let them live on your shirt until they die, and then get another one.
Wow, I never considered that. I had an old, and I took good care of them, and I left them in their cage, and I watched them. But they were called chameleons back then. Back in the late 70s, early 80s. But yes, okay.
No, and I got to see that in Boys Life magazine.
And still thrive. That is really true.
Yeah,
that they should be able to thrive.
But to counter that, I will say we have a lot of commonly available captive bred animals, right? Bearded dragons, leopard geckos, a White's tree frog. You can walk into any big box store and see those. They're doing pretty well in most average homes care. They don't need a lot of special requirements.
Where do ball pythons fit? You can get those in any store, and they're half of most reptile shows.
Yeah, I had a ball python as my first snake. It wouldn't eat for 2 months, and I returned it. That wasn't a good beginner animal.
It's not a good. I mean, I continue not to get them ever again because the ones I've got eventually just don't eat, and I try everything. I think it's advanced, but I guess it's not advanced because all these people are doing it, but I just don't have the skills for that one. I don't know why, but
maybe they don't do well in our climate.
Boas, I have a skill for that. They eat very well. They eat like a boa. That's what they say. Retics. I don't have any retics, but I would think that I could get a dwarf retic and it would eat well and do well, but I don't think because of the size that the bigger ones get that would be a beginning pet. It might be an intermediate, but anyways.
And anytime you're measuring the feeder animal in pounds,
corn snakes might be a good beginner. A corn snake,
most definitely,
or rosy boas, maybe. They're harder to get, but
you don't see them. I don't know what they need. I think that'd be hard to find information about, but maybe not.
Don't they live in California or that area?
Rosy boas, I think so.
Yeah,
they're Western species.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what do we do? How do we get from beginner to intermediate? What is an intermediate species? Or is there more than beginner and advanced levels? What should we be doing?
Did you see what Mikey Ben put in the chat? He says, honestly, we as a community need to change the conversation from beginner reptile to what you need to commit to. And maybe that's the message, that there is no beginner reptile.
Mhm.
Some are better than others, but every single one of them, you are going to have to work pretty hard to create the environment it needs.
And many of them live a long time. Tortoises live, you get to a big tortoise, a sulcata, may live a couple hundred years. Even the small turtles live 25 to 50, mostly 50 if you take good care of them, or more. So it's, a commitment past your, maybe past your lifetime when you get them, depending on how old you are when you get your first one. So when you get them, so.
Obviously, intermediate care, you're starting to breed whatever animal you work with. So maybe you're working with leopard geckos. There's a difference between keeping one leopard gecko versus 10, and knowing their cycles and having them be healthy, and the females to generate healthy eggs and not get sick. So just stepping up your goals, even if you're not changing animals, can be an advancement in the level of care.
That's true. Very true.
Well, I could go with that. But
so things we've decided. Advanced care is something that's not known what we should do with it, that could kill you in multiple ways, either venom or big or what have you, that needs a big cage, needs a tiny little cage, and that needs something very far from the environment that you live in. Whether you live in California and it's beautiful and warm, or you live in Cleveland and sometimes it's 0 and sometimes it's 85. Yesterday, by the way, the concert, it was awesome temperature, 72 degrees, but it drizzled 3 or 4 times. Even when the sun was up, it was drizzling. but it was warm enough that it was good to be here. So I'm thankful that they scheduled the concert in July. But okay. And so now, but we've said there are no beginner reptiles. That would scratch that thing out. You need every reptile, you need to commit to something. And so that's the baseline of reptiles. Getting a reptile, you do have to commit to something. You may be committing for a long time, and you have to figure that out. And then intermediate is a level where you're starting to do things like breed, take it through its whole life cycle. Like Bill likes to say, you take it, you grow it up from whatever small thing you get it at. You have it breed, you take the baby and you get the baby up to breeding age. And then you really, or actually, even if you could get the baby to breed, then you really know what you're doing. So, so that's intermediate to advanced level type stuff right there. Okay. So did we answer the question? Reptile care from beginner to advanced? Did we get through the whole topic already? It's only 33 minutes.
Well, the question is, what are we going to do with that information?
There is no such thing as beginner, and advanced is too. We discussed last week, and intermediate is something you have to commit to, and breeding. So,
well, we can then discuss what are we going to do with this information.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does this change how we interact online, or when we're asked what's a good reptile to start with? And what do we do with this information?
We should get it out. We should put it out. We should tell people that I keep leaning back and showing that Bill and I are twins today, at least for shirts. I don't know. That wasn't planned. In fact, I was wearing a Reptarium shirt, Legacy shirt, but I got sweaty when I was putting away the groceries, and I decided to change it to take a nap. So then I just put the shirt on out of habit. So there you go. But anyways, that's off topic. But wow, I lost train of thought. I lasted 35 minutes today before my train derailed. Last week my train derailed within 30 seconds of start. Well, I guess I didn't start the show right today, but no one noticed until we told them.
The way this information changes the way I interact is very much along the lines of what Mikey Ben is saying,
Mhm.
is that I don't like to say that chameleons are not beginner reptiles.
Mhm.
I like to say that chameleons require a commitment. And a beginner, if they choose to do that commitment, you can do a chameleon, no problem.
Mhm.
I have people regularly ask me, I want a chameleon and I want a Parsons chameleon. Is that okay to do as my first chameleon? And I have to say, it is quite the commitment in both money, space, and research, but they are no harder once they're set up than any other chameleon. They're just harder to set up because it's bigger and more expensive. But if you're willing to do everything that it takes, go ahead, get a Parsons chameleon as a first chameleon. Um, it's the same risk. You're now risking more money if you don't do it right. But if you give yourself enough time to figure out how to do it, get involved with the community, talk to people, get a good feel for it. The more research you do, the more successful you can be right out the bat. And there's no reason why you can't be successful as long as you aren't impatient, because the information's out there. I mean, breeding, that's another thing. That's a little bit more difficult, but caring for them, the information's there. And it's effective information.
And being,
Go ahead. Tom, go ahead.
Finding that person that's willing to learn about the animal, what that animal truly needs, as opposed to just taking what they've done before with other animals and applying it to that new, more advanced animal. It takes a certain level of self-awareness when you're working with a new, more complicated animal to say, I don't know exactly how to take care of this because it is different. I need to go find those communities, seek out the information. That's it really important, I think.
That's very great. I'm intermittently muting because Lady is looking for something. That's my female Cavachon. She's barking away, and I the last time I heard this, re-listened to this show, I heard someone barking. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's annoying. And I'm like, but it was my dog, so there we go. But yes, I agree. The willingness to learn what it is that you need, the willingness to learn what kind of time and how much money you have, and how dedicated you're going to be. Can you go away for vacation? There are some reptiles that you can. If you have a snake and it eats once every 2 weeks, you could go on a 10-day vacation as long as you put water on it and have somebody maybe drop by in the middle. That's great. But a chameleon, it's a little challenging to do that if you don't have someone who knows what they're doing and is capable of just checking on the whole system. I went away for 10 days or 14 days, but I had kids here that were quite knowledgeable that could take care of things that went wrong. Actually, some of my eggs hatched, and my youngest daughter built a cage and put it all together, and the chameleons are still around. So a year later, so that's awesome. So I taught her well, I guess, but anyways, or she picked it up and learned it. So anyways, okay. All right. So how do we get this out to the community?
At this point, I think it's waiting for the community to come to us, because I think none of this really means anything to somebody who is not actively thinking about it. I don't think if we went out and said this, I don't think that they're going to store that for later. And the people who will need this answer aren't listening at the time. I think that's the first question somebody asks when they get started, and before that, they're not listening.
Okay. So let me summarize. There's no beginner reptiles. We've decided that the advanced ones are ones that can kill you or are not known what to do, or big or small and need care that's different. It's very, very different from your environment that you're in. And all reptiles, any pet, you need to know what kind of time you're willing to put into, what kind of effort, what kind of knowledge that you need. Lady, please. She's barking away in the background there. Maybe you guys, I'm sure you can hear it, but and distracting me. But you need to be able to put the time into it. And then if you want to breed or do something more of an advanced skill or an intermediate skill, then you need to learn a little bit more than that. Even just to have something, you need to decide, does it fit into your life? How does it fit into your life? Do you have people to help you if you go away often, or if you take weekend trips, or you're going to take the summer off, whatever it might be? You need to make sure that you can care for this pet. And you need to figure out how long what size thing it needs and how long it's going to live. If it's going to be a tortoise and live 150, 200 years and be a tank like a sulcata, you don't want to get a tiny little sulcata tortoise like this and grow it up because they become tanks. Unless you have a great environment, we can put it outside and let it tank around your backyard, have it eat the weeds and everything else. So that's good. But, all right. Did that summary go out? Did I get to the whole
Good
summary?
enough.
Totally,
right.
yeah.
So what you're saying is there are no beginner reptiles. Beginners shouldn't have reptiles. And the only people who should have reptiles are the ones already grandfathered in. And so once we die,
no.
it's all over.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
No.
That's what I heard you
Those
say,
people who are willing and dedicated to learn, they're willing to give up their time and energy and care for a pet the way they should. They could be anybody. In fact, some of the people taking care of reptiles should be the people not allowed to have them, and others should take their place, because there are a lot of people out there not doing the right stuff. So that I've experienced, that I've met along the way. So, but anyway,
I must have heard you wrong.
Okay, yes. It probably was the dog in the background barking that threw you off. So there we go. All right. Hey, James Cross is here. He's not on the thing, but he's
They're all mine. Gotta go through James.
All right. He's not going to join us live, I guess, but he's going to be there talking about poking fun at us in the background.
Smack talking.
That's the best way to be. So, and I don't know why my light I haven't changed anything. It's like, it's this time of year, I guess, when the light goes down. Right now it's getting dark here in this area, and my light keeps changing here. But anyways.
Got some thunderstorms popping up here.
Yeah. All right. So any final thoughts? Bill, I'll go to you first.
No final thoughts. I think this is all more of a conversation that doesn't have an end. It's just good that we all talk about it and bounce these ideas around in our head. It's too easy to get caught up in the simple black and white. Well, this is beginner, this isn't, this is what beginners should do. And so it's a good conversation to have on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
All right, Tom.
Yeah, I think, kind of a next step would be to talk about advanced reptile keeping, emphasis on the keeping. What do advanced keepers do? What are the best management practices? How can we all be better?
Okay. Should we do that next week? Will you join us?
Well, that could be interesting.
I would love to join you. I'll be in South Carolina, but I should be able to join you.
All right. Good. James maybe can help us out because he's going to have all the Parsons to himself in the United States. He's not going to even breed him. He's just going to leave them and get new ones from a secret breeder place. But all right, my final thought is this is a great way to start things, and we have kind of done this path, and that I agree, there are no beginner reptiles. It's just what you want to commit to and the time you want to have, and those venomous things and those that you're are too big or not known, that is advanced care. So, all right, everyone, have a good evening. Thanks for being here. And wait, Nate loves the idea for next week, so we're gonna do it. All right,
that's a good topic for next week.
All right. That's the first time we've had the topic before except for when I go to a show before we ended the show. There we go. We're getting better. 2 years out, we're getting better. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. I need to hit the end stream before I